Yeah, he's a good boy. Oh, he's a good handsome. Come here. You want to talk to the camera with me? Yeah. Alright, welcome back to Diesel Creek. My name's Matt. This beautiful gem behind me here is my $200 beater with a heater. It's a 99 Jeep Cherokee, also known as an XJ. As some of you may have seen on my Instagram at Diesel Creek, my blue F350 truck was on the trailer. That's not a good sign. Ended up not being a bad breakdown at all. The AC pump locked up and just wouldn't allow the engine to crank over fast enough to start. So we dodged a bullet there. I got it over at the shop right now because I don't have the fancy AC gizmos to do all that Freon work and whatnot. Anyways, it's getting fixed. The guy I trust to do all that stuff had quite a backlog of stuff, so I've been working out of the old Jeep XJ as a service truck for about a week now. Now I should have my truck back at any time now. So I carry around a lot of tools in my truck, and it was imperative that I still have access to tools and be able to drive around to my job sites and machinery and have all my tools with me to work on stuff, which the old XJ is really coming through in that department. She's been pretty reliable, and it's actually pretty nice to work out of a smaller vehicle like this. I can get around into tight places pretty well. The only downside is I don't have a fuel tank on this setup, but I can live without that sometimes. The tools are all in there. Anyways, with so many tools jammed in the rear end of this thing, you can kind of tell she's sitting pretty low in the rear here. In fact, the tires are actually up past the fender. They're really close to bottoming out. You might be able to tell the leaf springs, they're bent negative in a big way. And that's that's not good. The slightest bump right now with all this weight in here will max out the rear suspension and hit the bump stops. It does it quite a bit. In fact, I can probably just jump on the rear end here. Yeah, that maxes her out. She's got about 3 inches of travel left before it hits the bump stops. So in the back here, I bought me a used Pack Rat Weather Guard toolbox here, and this thing has been great. I don't have 100% of my tools in here, but I have probably 90% of the tools that I use often in here, and it's been nice. So between that box and then this one, real nice guy I bought this thing off of. He threw this one in for free, and I got all my other stuff in here. I didn't spend a whole lot of time organizing this stuff because I didn't think I would be in it this long. But you see how these drawers are all just opening on their own? That's because pretty much no matter where you park, and the suspension's this low, it's angled downhill, so all the boxes just want to open. So I got that stuff there. This side, I got antifreeze, first aid kit, hydraulic oil, all my fluids and chemicals, welding helmets, more fluids and chemicals stashed back there. Some parts I'm installing right there. This side I got my grease gun, some more parts that need installed there, 3/4 impact. It's all in here. And I actually have grown to really like working out of this thing because you're not having to reach up real high and look down into the toolboxes. It's all right nice and low where you can see it easy. But something's got to be done about this suspension. Hopped on the old Al Gore machine there and found the Airlift company. I have no affiliation with these guys, but I know that they've been making air ride kits for a long time. And I found this guy, which should remedy all of our problems. So basically what we're going to do is install these air springs in here, and that will just lift the rear end of the Jeep back up to leveling, and we should be ready to giddy up down the road with all that weight in the rear. It pulls it around just fine. I mean, to drive it, you almost can't tell that there's that much weight in the vehicle with you. It's just, you know, because you're staring up at the sky is the only real reason you notice it. So I'm pretty excited. The rear suspension in this Jeep has been weak since I got it. It's a 1999. I'm pretty sure they're the original springs, so they weren't exactly in stellar shape to begin with. And then you put all this extra weight and they're really just crying for help. So let's give them some help today. I've never installed one of these kits. We'll see how this goes. Exhaust clearance modification. Yeah, I have a Sawzall. Anyways, we got this thing here. It's got some air lines in it. I see some quick connects in there, a couple nuts and bolts, maybe a heat shield. We got some heavy duty brackets here. I assume those mount the airbags. Nuts and bolts, U-bolts here, and of course two the actual airbags here. A little bit smaller than I thought they'd be, but what do I know? Let's see if I can't throw the directions in the garbage and figure this out for myself. That's what I'm talking about. I want that thing to ride like this. Oh yeah, these poor little anemic springs. Actually, they may have been replaced at one time. They're not as rusty as the rest of the vehicle, and they have this JRS name on the springs, so I don't know. I'm not a Jeep expert. Apparently we've had a couple good bumps here where the suspension actually did come up and contact the body of the vehicle. That's not good. That's bottomed out. Alright, now as I said a bit ago there, I've never done this before, so don't really look to this for a how-to video. I'm just kind of figuring this out as I go, and there's a good chance I'm going to screw it up because it's actually a bit more complicated than I first thought it would be. But I've got the vehicle, you know, kind of loaded to where it should be riding at. That's what's important here, because you have to get this bracket and everything to clearance. With the suspension compressed like it was, you'd never be able to do this. This is an installation tool. This comes out, and this just helps you align everything. But basically we're just mocking everything up. I got this U-bolt I just sat on here, and we're gonna go ahead and throw the brackets on it, loosely clamp it down there. Alright, so this all situates sort of like so here. I'm gonna clamp that U-bolt down here now. The installation tool is all in place correctly, and you got this big slotted thing here so that you can push the tool over, and that's gonna align everything. That's gonna be the center of your airbag after you get it mounted. But the bracket fits in the frame area well. Now we're gonna drill some holes, and then they have self-tapping bolts, which is kind of scary to be bolting something like this to your frame with, but they got self-tapping bolts that should work just fine to hold that bracket on. Alright, I guess now we're supposed to center punch and drill out the lower mounting hole here on the frame. It's a little tough to get everything centered. The best thing to do would be if you had 3/8 transfer punch, which has like a shoulder and then a small tip at the end of it, so it would fit perfectly in the center of this bolt hole. Well, we're committed now. We're drilling holes in the frame. There we go. Alright, so we just put that bolt in right there as a placeholder, basically, from what I'm understanding. Now we're going to drill out the second hole here. I'll make sure I center punch it first. That's how you're supposed to do that. Get this tool up and out of the way now. maybe. We got to drill these 2 holes clear through right now, which is a little tough to do. Gotta try to make sure we're straight here best we can. I don't know why the directions tell you to do it like this. I would, if it were me, I would have drilled all 4 holes while I had that installation tool in there, but I got this little lip hanging down here. I might have to trim that a bit, make it easier to drill these holes through, because I don't have a super long drill bit. Alright, see, to drill this last hole, I would need a really long drill bit to get clear through the frame because I'm hitting up here. But what I can do is just cut a little notch out of this. This is like a 1-inch flange that hangs down here. This isn't in your installation manual. We've got clearance, Clarence. Ta-da! We should be ready to mount this bad boy up. Alright, as you can tell, we have our brackets mounted in here now the way they're supposed to be. We do have the issue of this exhaust here that's in the way, and we can't let that get real near the airbag, otherwise the heat from the exhaust will rupture the airbag. Well, I had to modify it a bit from their directions, but what are you gonna do? This well, I finally got that stinking heat shield put on here. Hopefully that thing works. Now we gotta collapse this thing, I guess, while getting it started on this bolt. Should be fun. All right. Well, we got that thing threaded on there. At least it seems like. All right, Kit says to leave that bolt loose for now. Got to install this plastic jam nut. They're calling it a PAL nut. That holds the top of the airbag in, I guess. Instructions say to tighten this plastic jam nut up to 15 foot-pounds, so click. Next thing, we got to install this little quick connect air fitting in the top of the thing. It already has thread sealant on it. Alright, so I haven't decided where we're going to route our air hose to inflate these things to yet. So we will come back to the airline instructions. I'm going to go ahead and buzz the whole bracket and everything onto the other side, and yeah, should be a good time. Alright, we got the air inflation hose here. It says to cut it into equal lengths with a razor knife. Done. Alright, I think right here is going to be a good place for us to have our air inflation valve. There's easy access behind it to route the line right up to the airbag, so we should be golden. I'm not going to drill in the spot weld here. I'm going to drill kind of right up here next to it. Nothing I have is sharp in 5/16. Nothing. All right, now we got about 6 feet too much air hose here. We'll go ahead and cut this off and should be able to plug it in and inflate that bag. There we go. These quick connects are super simple. You just got to make sure you have a nice square flat cut across your line there, and then it just shoves right in here and you'll feel it click, and that's it. There you go. Should be all we need. All right, now the last thing it says to do is go ahead and inflate the bag up to 10 psi, check for leaks, and we still have this bolt loose on the bottom, so we have to check our alignments and everything with pressure in the bag. Ready? Holy crap. That went up super quick. I barely touched the air thing to it. I have 36 psi in there. Whoops. Let's bleed some of that off. There we go. 9 psi, that's a little better. I'd say our alignment looks pretty good. Hard to get your head in there and actually see if everything's square and copacetic. I think it looks good. I can go ahead and tighten down this bottom bolt now. All right, I believe this side's done. Let's go ahead and get that other side. All right, let's hit this thing with some air. How about that? Right where it's supposed to be. Everything looks copacetic. I think we can go ahead and tighten up our lower bolt there. And we are ready to throw the wheels back on this thing and hit the road. All right, this is it. Go ahead and lower this thing down onto the airbags for the first time. I'm pretty excited. All right, we're ready to drop this thing down for the first time, but we have to keep in mind that I only have 10 psi in each bag right now, so it might still set fairly low, and then we'll have to inflate it. I think the max in these airbags is 100 psi, so I'm sure we can get the lift out of it we want and then some. All right, this at 10 psi helped a heck of a lot. We're sitting just about level, maybe just squatted just a hair still. I'm gonna go ahead and bump these up to like 15 or 20 psi. I'll put 15 in and see where we get. All right, that's 21 PSI in each bag. It's really hard to take these things up in slow increments. I mean, I just one time as quick as I could basically on the Schrader valve, and it was 36 PSI. My buddy has these on his rig. He said the same thing. He said I inflate mine with a bicycle pump, and I thought he was being a little over dramatic, but no, he's right. It's a small cylinder you're filling up with air, so it really doesn't take much volume to get a lot of pressure in there. All right, time for a first ride in this pig. Oh yeah, it's nice to be able to sit here and not look up at the sky anymore. Oh yeah. This is way more gooder, guys. Now, the actual like suspension shocks are probably already shot. I'm really not that concerned, but if I was concerned about ride quality, I'd probably replace those too, because it feels slightly springy right now, and I think that's probably because the shocks are no bueno. Oh, this thing is great. With so much weight on it before, when I would hit the gas and really gas it, the rear end would just squat so much, it was unbelievable. I mean, you'd be looking at the sky. Cruising down 4-lane highway here, running about 60. I can't believe how nice this thing rides now. I mean, I didn't know how bad it was. I mean, this is riding better now with all this weight in here than it was prior to the airbags with no weight. I mean, this is crazy. There's a hard acceleration. The rear end didn't squat down like it used to. Riding nice. We're actually sitting up high. You feel comfortable, you know. Felt like I was in a lowrider before. The hitch, before the airbags with all the weight in it, the hitch was only about like 6 or 8 inches off the ground. It was getting pretty bad. I'd call that a successful test ride, guys. That air suspension really impresses me. Again, I'm not affiliated with that company in any way, shape, or form. As far as I know, they've never even heard of me. But I'll really say that that was a well thought out kit. The directions were pretty clear. They had updated the design. They included revisions in the directions of, you know, things to do and don't. And it all went pretty smooth. The kit claims you could do that yourself in 2.5 hours. I'd say without having done one before, it's going to take you a little longer, but definitely would have helped to have a lift and a real shop to do things in. You guys see, I just kind of work out here in the elements wherever I'm at. So I got some more work to do to this thing, but the Jeep is out here, my new service truck. And again, I actually kind of like working out of the Jeep, and I might keep doing it for a little while yet, which surprises the crap out of me because I thought this was going to be miserable. But it's even better now because the tailgate's actually up here where I only have to bend down sort of slightly. Before it was like down here and I'd have to come in, crouch into my toolbox. Now, not as bad. Not as bad at all. I did up the airbags to 30 PSI. Everything is riding really good right now. It's sitting really good. I like it. I'm very happy with it. All right, I guess we're gonna have to call that the end of this video, guys. As far as I'm concerned, great success. It was very easy. I didn't have any air leaks to deal with or anything, and everything seems to be working out great. As always, guys, if you liked the video, don't forget to give it a big old thumbs up. It really helps the channel out and doesn't cost you guys a thing. If you're not already, be sure you subscribe so you don't miss any future videos. And if you're looking for any Diesel Creek merch, don't forget you can get over to the store at dieselcreek.com and pick yourself up some cool stuff there. We got hats, t-shirts, mugs, stickers, all kind of good stuff. But that's it for me. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll catch you on the next one. Later.